Okay, so the first coverage that we're going to talk about is liability. This is the one that you have to have by law if you are operating a motor vehicle in the state of Texas. This is basically insurance that stands in for a lawsuit. So if you have, let's say you're driving your awesome little car, that's a car. So this is you, and you happen to run into, let's make a, look, it's a crashed car. Whoa. You run into somebody else's car and you cause damage to that car. Pow, 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 pow. You are now responsible for that damage, which means you are liable for that damage. So without insurance, it would be a lawsuit, this person suing this person. With liability insurance, we don't have to go through that. So one of the things that you'll see with liability insurance is a lot of times it's reflected in three different numbers. So we'll start with the standard low level base level amount that you can have in the state of Texas. That is 30, 60, 25. What that means is when this wreck happens, if this is my coverage, my insurance is going to pay $30,000 in medical damage to that person or any other person in that car. So no matter how many people are in the car, my insurance is going to pay for their medical damage. That's what these first two are for, medical damage. So I injure this person and cause $20,000 in medical damage to that person. I injure this person and I cause $20,000 in medical damage to that person. And in this case, the third person, I actually cause $25,000 in medical damage. This is where this number comes in. So this is per person, and this is the total amount that you're going to get covered for. So in this case, 2, 4, 5, 6, that's 65,000. They will not cover 65,000. They will only cover 60,000. So 30,000 up to 30,000 per person, up to $60,000 for all the injuries in the accident. This last little bit here, the 25, this is how much they are going to pay to fix this car. So $25,000 to fix the damage that you caused to that car. Guess what? If it's $30,000 in damage, insurance gives them 25, you come up with the other 5. That's where we can still have lawsuits happen if we have an insurance claim. Even if we're covered, we may not be covered for enough. So most of the time we see things as 30, 60, 25. You can see something that will be like CSL, and it may say like 500 CSL. That means combined single limit. So instead of having split limits, it's all one thing altogether. They're just going to pay up to 500,000 in this case for all the damage that occurred. Okay. We're going to stick with the split limits because that's what most of us are used to. So 30, 60, 25. The next step up is 50, 100, 50. Some insurance companies let you change these quite a bit. Some of them, they're sort of preset, but these are the basic numbers: 30, 60, 25, 50, 100, 100, 300, 100, 250, 500, 100. And then beyond that, you basically are qualifying for an umbrella. So probably makes less sense to pay more for liability here, more sense to get an umbrella policy. So anyway, they all mean the same thing. This is how much my insurance is going to pay in medical damage per person, total amount for the entire accident, and the total amount for property damage. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean one car. If you hit somebody and you push that person into this other car, let's make it a fastback. You push them into this car and now they've got damage. If it was determined to be all your fault, you caused all that damage, then you have to pay for that, you have to pay for that. You can see how $25,000 in property damage and only $60,000 in medical damage, you can run out really quickly. I do not think anyone should be driving with this amount, the 30, 60, 25. It is just not enough. Almost every car that's out there costs more than $25,000. Even a lot of used cars cost more than $25,000. If you hit that car and it's a total loss, $25,000 probably ain't gonna cut it. $5,150 is where everybody should be. That should be the minimum. I would not go any lower than that. 100, 300, 100. When you start looking at the prices of these things, most of the time it costs very little to move up in liability. You would think that it would cost a huge amount. Oh, I'm going to have $250,000 in coverage instead of 30. That's going to cost a ton of money. It really doesn't. So definitely look at raising that. Don't go any lower than that. You're really not protecting yourself. And this is protecting yourself from a lawsuit. So you are protecting yourself by having the amount of money to take care of the other people when you cause a wreck. 5,150 should be the minimum. I would seriously consider jumping up to 131 just in case, because you just never know. And can you go higher? Certainly. Then you start to have a conversation about your budget. And we look at how much more is, say, $250,000 going to cost. If it gets out of your price range, then roll it back. But if you can afford it, then there's no reason to not have the highest level of liability insurance. It's protecting you by taking care of the person that you caused that damage to. Very important coverage to have. Don't skimp on it.